I want you to do something uncomfortable right now. Stop whatever background noise is running in your head, the to-do lists, the anxieties, the half-finished thoughts, and just look around. Look at where you are, not where you want to be, not where your parents hoped you'd be, or where your younger self imagined when you stayed up too late dreaming about the future. Where you are right now, today, the room you're sitting in, the clothes you're wearing, the phone you're holding or the screen you're watching, the relationships in your life or the absence of them, the number in your bank account, the number on the scale, the state of your health, your energy, your sleep. Take all of it in, because I need to tell you something that nobody wants to say out loud and very few people want to hear. That is you, not fate, not bad luck, not the economy, the system, your parents, your ex, your boss, your hometown, your genetics, or the particular cruelty of the universe, that landscape you are living inside right now. This is the physical, concrete, undeniable manifestation of the choices you have been making every single day for the last decade. You built this brick by brick, decision by decision. And I know that some of you already want to push back. You're already composing the counter argument. But I had a difficult childhood. But the market crashed. But I got sick. But you don't know what I've been through. And here's what I want to say to that. I'm not dismissing any of it. Hard things happen to people. Genuinely unfair things happen to people. The circumstances of your birth are not your fault. Tragedy is real. Illness is real. Systemic disadvantage is real. But here's what's also real. Two people can go through the same fire, and one comes out hardened, and one comes out ash. Two people can grow up in the same house, the same poverty, the same chaos, and in 20 years, one is thriving, and one is standing in the rubble, recounting the story of the fire. What's the difference? It's not luck. It's not talent. It's not intelligence. It's choices. Thousands and thousands of small, daily unsexy choices. And the sooner you accept, truly accept in your bones that your choices are the primary author of your story, the sooner you can stop being a character in a tragedy and start being the writer of something worth reading. So let's go back to that mirror. Let's really look. Your financial situation, whatever it is, comfortable, struggling, drowning, somewhere in between. How did it get there? Yes, the economy matters. Yes, opportunities are not distributed equally. But inside of your economic reality, there are choices you made about education, about what you did with your 20s, about how you spent your money when you had it, about whether you invested in skills that the market values or whether you bet on the world staying the same, about whether you had the hard conversation with your boss about the raise or whether you just complained to your friends about it. Your health, whatever condition your body is in right now, it is largely, not entirely, but largely a journal of your habits, what you ate consistently over years, how you moved or didn't move, how you slept, how you managed stress, how often you reached for the thing that numbed you instead of the thing that strengthened you, your relationships, the loneliness you might carry, or the depth of love and friendship in your life. That, too, is a ledger of choices. Whether you were willing to be vulnerable, whether you showed up when it was inconvenient, whether you left toxic situations or stayed in them, telling yourself it was complicated, whether you chose partners based on who you wanted to be or based on who felt familiar. None of this is easy to look at. All of this is necessary. Here's the thing about choices that we don't talk about enough. Every single one of them has a price. Not always immediate, not always visible, but time is the world's most reliable debt collector, and it always comes to the door. When you choose the ice cream over the fruit once, that's nothing. That's a Tuesday. But when you made the choice 200 times over 2 years, time collected. When you chose to skip the workout because you were too tired once, that's understandable. You're human. But when that became the default, when comfort became the policy rather than the exception, time was writing up the invoice. When you chose to stay in a job that was slowly killing your spirit because the benefits were good and leaving felt terrifying, every year you stayed was another year of compounding interest on that debt. The debt wasn't just lost income or career growth. It was the slow erosion of your belief that you were capable of something more. When you choose to scroll through your phone for 2 hours every night instead of reading, learning, building, or even just sleeping, time kept perfect records. Over a decade, that's 300 hours a year you handed away to an algorithm designed to addict you. That's 3,000 hours. That's the equivalent of an entire year and a half of working weeks gone. We have the strange tendency to think of decisions in isolation. We treat each choice like it's a single event with a single consequence. We don't see what the economists call the compounding effect of repeating behavior. But your life doesn't experience your choices in isolation. Your life experiences them as a pattern. Your body, your mind, your bank account, your relationships, they don't remember individual decisions. They remember tendencies. And your tendencies, your habitual patterns of choosing, are the architecture of the life you are living. Let me give you a picture of how this works in real time. Right now, today, somewhere, a 22-year-old is choosing between two paths. On path 1, they go home after work, sit on the couch, watch 3 hours of television, order delivery food, doom scroll until midnight, go to sleep too late, wake up tired, and repeat. It feels like nothing. It feels like rest. It feels like they deserve it after a long day. And they do. Rest is real and necessary. But this isn't actual rest. This is avoidance disguised as rest. On path 2, a different 22-year-old comes home, makes something decent to eat, spends 45 minutes learning a skill that interests them, goes for a 30-minute walk, reads for a half an hour, and gets to sleep at a reasonable hour. In a single day, the difference between these two people is almost invisible. In 5 years, it's enormous. In 10 years, the first person is wondering why they feel stuck, underqualified, out of shape, and dissatisfied with their life. The second person has compounding skills, compounding health, compounding confidence. They're not a genius. They're not lucky. They made slightly better choices, consistently, and time did the rest. That's the debt. That's the compound interest of your daily decisions. And right now, today, you are either building the kind of future you want, or you are building the debt that your future self will have to repay. Now let's talk about the hardest kind of choice, the ones we don't even recognize as choices. We think of choices as being conscious, deliberate forks in the road. Should I take this job? Should I end this relationship? Should I move cities? Those matter, but they're not where your life is actually being constructed. Your life is being built in the micro decisions. The choice to hit snooze for 45 minutes or to get up when the alarm rings. The choice to reach for your phone before you've been awake for 60 seconds or give your mind a moment of quiet. The choice to eat breakfast or skip it. The choice to speak kindly to yourself in the mirror or to run the same self-deprecating loop you've been running for 15 years. The choice to respond to a difficult email with thoughtfulness or to fire back impulsively. The choice to spend your lunch break in a way that refuels you or in a way that numbs you. Every one of these is a vote for the kind of person you are becoming. Yes, I know this is heavy. This message that your choices created your life, it lands differently depending on where you are. For some of you, it's energizing. You hear it and something clicks. You feel the responsibility, like a key turning in a lock. For others, it's devastating. Because if your choices built this life, then the choices you made when you were depressed or addicted or a teenager with no guidance or a young adult with no model for how adults were supposed to behave. Those choices led here, and now you have to carry that. I want to speak directly to the people in the second group for a moment. Your pain is real. The guilt you feel, if you feel it, is understandable. Looking at your life with clear eyes and recognizing your own fingerprints all over both the good and the bad, that is a courageous thing to do. Most people never do it. They spend their whole lives behind the comfortable fiction that the world was simply unfair to them. You are choosing honesty over comfort. That is strength. That is not weakness. But here's what I need you to understand. Radical personal responsibility is not a verdict. It is not a life sentence. It is not a reason to hate yourself for what you've done or left undone. It is, in fact, the only doorway to freedom. Think about what the alternative actually means. If your life is a result of external forces, luck, fate, other people, the system, then you are genuinely powerless. Your future is also the result of external forces. You can't change it. You can only hope. You are a passenger waiting to see where the vehicle takes you. But if your choices made this life, then your choices can remake it. That's not a burden, that's a superpower. Let me say something else about the weight of this realization. There's a difference between responsibility and blame. Blame looks backward. Blame punishes. Blame turns the lens of judgment on your past self and says, you should have known better. You were foolish. You wasted it. Responsibility looks forward. Responsibility says, I understand the mechanism now. I see how my inputs created these outputs. And now that I see it clearly, I can change the inputs. When I say, you built this, I'm not saying shame on you for what you built. I'm saying you have the power to build something different, because you do. This is the thing about the law of cause and effect, about the principle that your choices compound over time. It is absolutely ruthless when you ignore it, but it is equally powerful when you choose to use it deliberately. The same force that accumulated the debt can generate the wealth. The same mechanism that eroded your health over a decade of bad habits can restore it over a few years of good ones. Not instantly, not without cost, but significantly, meaningfully, in ways you can feel. The same pattern that built isolation can build connection if you're willing to show up differently. I want to talk about something that we often mistake for external bad luck, the moment we gave up. Because in most of our stories, not all, but most, there is a moment. Sometimes there are many moments, moments where we felt the pull towards something better and we chose not to follow it. Maybe it was the business idea you had at 28 that you dismissed because it felt too risky. Maybe it was a relationship you walked away from because intimacy felt too frightening. Maybe it was the degree you didn't finish, the book you didn't write, the conversation you didn't have, the audition you didn't go to, the movie you kept saying you'd make someday. We buried those possibilities and told ourselves the world wasn't ready for us, or that we weren't ready for the world, or that someone else had already done it better. Sometimes that's true. Often, though, it was fear. And the cost of that, the cost of the unlived life, is not nothing. The cost is a slow, dull ache that you learn to live with but never fully silence. The cost is the sense that you are slightly less than what you were supposed to be. The cost is 2 a.m. when the noise of the day has stopped and you can hear the question underneath everything. What if? What if I had started? What if I had stayed? What if I had said yes? What if I had demanded more of myself? Those questions deserve an honest answer, not self-pity, an honest answer, because the answer will tell you exactly where to start. So here's where we are. You have accepted, or you are beginning to accept, that your choices are the primary architects of your life. You have felt the weight of that. You may have felt the grief of it, and now I want to talk about what comes next. Because acceptance without action is just a more sophisticated form of suffering. The person who acknowledges their responsibility and then does nothing has simply added self-awareness to their paralysis. What you do with this realization is everything. And here's what I want to offer you. The change does not have to be massive. In fact, massive change, dramatic overnight transformation, is almost always temporary. It's willpower fueled by emotion, and willpower fueled by emotion burns hot and burns out. What changes a life is something much less cinematic. It is the boring, relentless practice of making slightly better choices today than you made yesterday. Not perfect choices, slightly better ones. You want to change your health? Don't overhaul your entire diet and sign up for a grueling fitness program that you'll abandon in 3 weeks. Start with one thing, one meal where you choose something that nourishes you instead of something that depletes you. One walk, 20 minutes. Just start accumulating evidence that you are someone who takes care of themselves. Because here's the thing about identity, and this is crucial. Behavior change that lasts is not driven by goals. It is driven by identity. The person who says, I'm trying to get healthy, will quit when it gets hard. The person who says, I'm someone who takes care of my body, makes choices that align with that identity automatically. So the real work, the work that matters most, is deciding who you are choosing to become. Not what you want, what kind of person you want to be. Someone disciplined? Then make one disciplined choice today and call yourself a disciplined person. Then do it again tomorrow. Someone financially responsible? Make one financially responsible choice today, not a complete overhaul. One choice, and tell yourself, this is who I am now. Someone who invests in deep relationships. Reach out to one person today with real presence, not a meme or group chat reaction. One real human connection. Today. This is not motivational fluff. This is how the brain actually works. Identity creates behavior. Behavior compounds. Compounded behavior creates a life. There's one more obstacle I want to name, because if I don't, it will stop most of you before you even begin. Comfort. We are living in the most comfortable era in human history. We have more access to convenience, entertainment, ease, and distraction than any human who have ever lived. And that comfort is making us soft in ways we don't want to acknowledge. Not physically soft, although also that. Psychologically soft. We have lost our tolerance for discomfort. We've forgotten or never learned that discomfort is not a signal to stop. It is frequently a signal that something important is happening. The discomfort of the hard conversation that needs to be had. The discomfort of the workout when you don't feel like moving. The discomfort of saying no to the thing that feels good now but costs you later. The discomfort of sitting with your thoughts instead of drowning them out. The discomfort of doing difficult work that you are not good at yet. All of those discomforts are investments. Every time you tolerate them and push through anyway, you are making a deposit into the account of the person you are becoming. Every time you run from them toward comfort, you are taking a withdrawal. The capacity to sit with discomfort, to feel it, acknowledge it, and act anyway, that is the single most important skill for building a life worth living. And like every other skill, you build it through practice. Start small. Deliberately introduce small discomforts into your day. Take the cold shower. Skip the dessert, not because you're on a diet, but because you said you would, and you want to be someone who keeps their word to themselves. Have the mildly awkward conversation instead of avoiding it. Every time you do something uncomfortable on purpose, you are telling yourself, I'm not ruled by what feels easy. I'm ruled by what I have decided. That is power, real power, the only kind that matters. I want to close with something that I think about a lot. I want you to think about your future self, not hypothetically, concretely. The person you will be in 10 years if you keep making the choices you are currently making. Picture that person, their face, their body, the look in their eyes, the conversations they have, the opportunities available to them, the regrets they carry, the peace or the unrest in their chest when they lie in bed at night. Is that someone you respect? Now picture the person you would be in 10 years if you started today, making the choices that the best version of you knows you should be making. That second person, do they look different? Different eyes, different posture, different sense of possibility. They might be healthier. They might have more resources. They might be in a relationship that sustains them, or doing work that means something to them, or living somewhere that fits the life they wanted. They might wake up in the morning with a sense of purpose instead of dread. The distance between those two people, the one created by your current patterns and the one created by better ones, is not filled by luck or circumstance. It is filled by choices, daily, boring, unglamorous choices. That second person already exists as a possibility. Right now, they are waiting in the future, seeing if you are coming. Are you? Here's what I know about human beings. We are astonishingly adaptable. We are capable of more than we believe, more than our current circumstances suggest, more than the stories we've been telling ourselves. I know this because the evidence is everywhere. People who emerge from genuinely devastating circumstances and build something extraordinary. People who turned a health crisis into the beginning of a new relationship with their body. People who lost everything financially and rebuilt not just wealth, but wisdom. People who were lonely for years and found, through small deliberate choices to show up differently, that they were capable of deep love. None of these people had a secret advantage. None of them received a gift you were denied. They accepted the same fundamental truth we've been talking about today, and they used it. They stopped waiting. They stopped explaining. They started choosing. So here's where I'll leave you. Your life today is the result of your choices yesterday. That is not a cause for shame. That is simply the operating system of human existence. And once you understand how it works, you can use it. Your life tomorrow will be the result of your choices today, starting now, starting with the next decision you make, however small. Maybe the next decision is just to stay with this feeling a little longer instead of immediately reaching for distraction. Maybe the next decision is to write one thing down, one thing you've been avoiding, one thing you know needs to change. Maybe the next decision is to drink a glass of water instead of opening another app. It doesn't matter how small. What matters is that it is intentional, that you are choosing with awareness rather than drifting. Because every intentional choice, no matter how small, is evidence. Evidence that you are not a passenger. Evidence that you are the author. Evidence that the story of your life is still being written, and the pen is in your hand. You built this, all of it, and you can build something better. The only question is whether you're willing to do it, not someday, today.